Kicking off November with Q&A 29.0. It's your opportunity to ask me almost whatever question you like, be it about gaming, YouTube, personal views, opinions, advice, etc. And last week, I gave you guys an opportunity to submit your questions via YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And we got a few questions today. Not so many as in past Q&As, but it's all good. Quality over quantity. And I just want to make a disclaimer before we continue. Every now and then I get silly, stupid questions. And sometimes I get questions that don't even relate to me, that someone's asking, like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Can someone do this for me? I reserve the right as the host of my Q&A series and as the content creator of my channels to not, do everybody's question. I try to include everybody's question for Q&As, but, for now on, anyone that's intentionally trying to be funny or, posting a similar question when I talked about a moment ago, specifically trying to find out how to do something, that doesn't specifically relate to me, a question you're asking me, I reserve the right to not include that in future Q&As. All right, so anyways, we're going to go in alphabetical order, and we're going to start things off with Alex. He has this question: what's your favorite game ever? And Alex, wow. You had to start this off with a doozy, didn't you? Because how am I expected to pick one game? I mean, how could anyone pick one game? I mean, especially since I've been gaming since I was a kid, on the Intellivision with my grandfather, and then the NES, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, N64, along with the original PlayStation with my friends, and PS2, the original Xbox, Xbox 360, PC gaming as well throughout the 90s and most recently, and, Xbox One, PlayStation 4. I mean, I've played a ton of games throughout my life as a kid and as an adult. It's very difficult for me to pick one game in particular. I don't think I could do it. I mean, I would say that some of my favorite games would include Red Dead Redemption, obviously. What else would I pick? I liked Zelda Ocarina of Time. That was a good game. And I enjoyed Breath of the Wild, the newest Zelda game that came out back in March. I've enjoyed both South Park games, Stick of Truth, and of course Fractured Butthole, because I'm a huge South Park fan. I loved playing Overlord on the 360. It was kind of like a twisted, satirical take on Lord of the Rings, where you're playing the bad guy. And it was kind of cool because you got to control minions. It was awesome. There's a long list of games that I've enjoyed over the past several countless years that I just can't pick one as a favorite. I loved Total War games back in the day, along with several LucasArts games from the 90s, like Star Wars TIE Fighter, for example, Dark Forces, KOTOR, which is the big reason why I bought the original Xbox. That's one of my favorite Star Wars games, and good news, it's now available and backwards compatible on Xbox One. So that's exciting. So yeah, it's a long list of video games that I can't pick one out. I love Diablo. I love the Diablo series. It's hard to pick one. But there's a few games that I just threw out there that are my favorites. But to ask me to pick a favorite game, that's very difficult for me to do. Next, we go to Alex Hardy. That's right, we got two Alexes today in the Q&A. All right, so Q&A 29.0. Did you enjoy playing South Park for as long as you did in one day? I never played a game longer than 4 hours straight. Okay, so yeah, I enjoyed playing South Park Stick of Truth, even the parts where I got a little salty and there was a bit of, rage that happened. But there's a difference between playing a video game and streaming a video game. Now, if I would have been just playing South Park on my own like I did with Stick of Truth a few years earlier on the Xbox 360, I remember playing for several hours, but then I would stop because I got to a point where I felt like I wanted to take a break. I want to go get some lunch. I want to go run some errands. And then I came back an hour or two later and I continued playing over the span of a few days. When it comes to streaming, you're kind of under the pressure to go from start to finish. And Yeah, I did enjoy streaming South Park Fractured Butthole. I enjoyed interacting with my subscribers in the chat. But there are definitely moments when I just wanted to stop playing and just say, you know what, fuck it. I'm not playing. I'm going to go take a break. I need to go walk this off because I was getting really salty. Like I did the other night when I was playing Dead by Daylight as Freddy Krueger. There was an issue I was having against one of the survivors. They kept flashlighting me, and it kept pissing me off more and more. And ultimately, I was forced to tunnel them because I got so focused on getting them and hooking them and having them sacrificed to the entity that the other two managed to get away. And if I would have just said fuck it and just went after the other two instead, I would have probably gotten 3 kills instead of just 1 kill in a match. And I was very, very mad by the end of that match. But at the same time, I had to remind myself that this was just a video game. And yes, even though I hate flashlights whenever I'm the killer, it is a strategy that survivors can use in Dead by Daylight. And those are really good at using the flashlights, can really make a killer pay. And, it was nice that I was able to stop playing Dead by Daylight and, go watch a live stream and then go to bed instead of actually live streaming Dead by Daylight with that happening. I mean, I did put up a couple episodes of me playing Dead by Daylight, which I enjoyed, by the way, but obviously the subscribers didn't really care for it. But you know what? That doesn't stop me from continuing to play Dead by Daylight. But back to South Park. Yeah, I enjoyed playing it, even the moments where there was some obvious assault. But yeah, it's definitely a different ball game when you're just playing a video game on your own and then let's playing one. At the very least, when you're let's playing a game, like I'm doing with Mafia. By the way, episode 12 coming up on Friday. For everyone that missed Mafia last week, I apologize for that once again. But, with Mafia, there are moments when I get pissed off. And I stop for a few hours, and then I come back and I start where I left off. And the good thing is, I can do that with let's playing. And I can edit all that shit out and try and make the video as short as possible. Sometimes I leave in the salt, obviously, but there are definitely times when I cut things out when I get a little too over the top. But with live streaming, it's live, baby. You have to keep going. So, yeah, that's pretty much my answer to you regarding my live stream of South Park, The Fractured Butthole, which I did enjoy, but there were definitely some frustrating moments, especially the third day, because I didn't expect the third day to go on as long. The first day was 5.5 hours. The second day was 7 hours, and I thought that I was near the end by the time I started the third day. But it went on for 8 hours, and it's a 20-hour game, especially if you actually go exploring, if you're just going off on side ventures. So, yeah, it went on way longer, and I think that added to the fatigue and to the salt as well. But, that's just the difference between playing a game on your own and then having to live stream it in front of an audience. So, I hope I answered your question there, Alex, regarding South Park. Next, let's move on to Brian off of Twitter. Hey, GeauxBurns, my question is, which game developer you want to meet and why? I would like to meet, Ben's former developer at Rockstar, because, he is responsible for a lot of the success of previous Rockstar games, like all the 3D Rockstar games, Grand Theft Auto 3, as well as Vice City, San Andreas. He was a big reason why Red Dead Redemption was saved from utter disaster. I would like to meet him. I think he's an interesting guy. And, it'd be kind of cool to meet him and see what he's working on with his new companies. I hope they turn out to be a success. I hope he's making some fantastic games for the gaming world to enjoy, because I think he's a fantastic developer. So, yeah, that's who I would like to meet, Leslie Benzies, because, I don't know. I mean, I think he's a phenomenal guy. I mean, obviously, guys like that have issues, but who doesn't, right? Okay, so next question is also off Twitter from our retweet WarriorCarLane. In the spirit of Halloween, favorite Halloween movie, and of course, Halloween wrapped up yesterday, and I miss it already. October is my favorite time of the year, and Halloween, one of my favorite days. So it's sad that we have to wait for another year for Halloween to return. But this is an easy question to answer. It's Halloween, the original Halloween movie back in the late 70s with Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance. Yes. And I was actually going to do a review of Halloween for the other channel, GeauxBurns VNR, which stands for Vlogs and Reviews. But it just so happened that, Stranger Things 2 came out this past Friday, and I knew I was going to binge watch that because I loved the first season, and I knew that if I was going to binge watch it, I was going to do a review of it. So that's why I went with reviewing Stranger Things 2 as opposed to reviewing Halloween. But just real quick, I think that it's one of the definitive horror films. I mean, the score by John Carpenter, who also, came up with the idea and the concept and wrote the original Halloween movie. Yeah. I think that, Michael Myers predates Freddy Krueger. He predates Chucky. He predates Jason Voorhees. And, I mean, he doesn't predate Leatherface. I mean, Leatherface came out a few years earlier. But at the same time, I mean, I like Halloween. It's just so creepy. It's just this. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's definitely a good film. And I do think it still stands up to this day. The Rob Zombie remake was okay. I mean, he tried to add a bit more to his remake. Halloween 2, his version of Halloween 2, I did not care for at all. But his remake was okay. Not as good as the original, in my opinion. And I would recommend you just get the original version of Halloween. Don't get the extended director's cut where they added a lot of additional scenes, because it kind of slows down the pace of that movie. I mean, yeah, it does add a bit more of Donald Pleasence's character, Dr. Loomis, in there. A little bit more backstory about Michael. It does add stuff, but at the same time, it kind of takes away from the film. It's like a little too much fat. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend Halloween as my favorite Halloween movie. So, yes, I can't pick a favorite video game, but I can pick a favorite Halloween movie, so go figure, right? Next, we go to Elaine off of Twitter. What do you think is the best way in starting over and overcoming challenging obstacles? And I noticed that someone did reply to that question, and I hope they gave you really good advice. I mean, your response seemed to be positive, but the problem is I couldn't see what their advice was because their account is locked. So I have no idea what they said. All I can do is give you my opinion, for better or worse. Okay, so when it comes to starting over, that always sucks, because you put a lot of effort into something, whether it's a relationship or a career choice or a small business or a YouTube channel, and you get to the point where you feel like it's not working out, and no matter what you do, it's not working out. And it's not getting any better. It's not going the way it's going. And sometimes you just have to face the hard facts and realize that, you gave it your best, but some things are just not meant to be. And that's just the entire point. You have to realize once you get to a certain point that it's time to, to cut loose and, start over. And it's hard to do because you put so much time and effort and energy, blood, sweat, and tears, and sometimes even money into something, whether it's a relationship, a career, a hobby, a business. If you're a small business person, you probably know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, so, yeah, that's always the hardest part, realizing that, all that hard work you did over the past several months or years, or how long it took to get something to a certain point where you realize it's not working out. You have to stop. You have to realize that this is the definition of insanity, doing something over and over again, expecting the same result, or a different result when it's the same result. That's the correct terminology. But, Elaine, yeah, it's hard, but, it's just, you have to take a long, hard look at it and say, yeah, this isn't working out. That's not working out. And while some things aren't meant to be, You do learn from those experiences. You learn from everything that happens in your life, the good things that happen, the bad things that happen, the trials, the errors, the tribulations, and ultimately, hopefully it leads to some success down the road. So whereas, like one door closes, hopefully another door opens, as they say, or the better way to look at it is it's just another chapter in your book, the book of your life, the life of Elaine. You've decided, this chapter is over. I've, gone as long as I can with this chapter. It's time to wrap up this chapter and move on to the next chapter. And I say that works for, overcoming, the challenging obstacles, because life will always have challenging obstacles for all of us as we go on down the road. And the best thing to do is just take that day by day And, some days are going to be good. Some days are not going to be so good. And you just got to believe that you can overcome, whatever life throws at you. And just remember that you do have your family, you do have friends. You have those that you can rely on, those that you can confide in, those that you can talk to help you. And, if there are obstacles like problems you're having, like with issues that can be resolved easily, YouTube, has a long video library of people that may have gone through similar things that you're going through or anyone else's. I mean, from a simple thing like replacing a shower faucet to real life issues. So it's just a day-by-day basis when it comes to overcoming challenging obstacles. And unfortunately, that's not going to change. There's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be issues that come up along the way. But you just got to power through and just take it one day at a time. Next, we go to Akeem, hashtag Q&A 29. If you were given the opportunity to go to another planet or world, would you go? The only catch is that you will have to leave everything behind. Also, the only thing you know about the new world is that it's better than this one, and people don't get sick. Yes, I would. And when I was a kid in my teens, true story, by the way. Everything I say is true for the most part. Maybe. But when I was a kid, I don't know why, but there were some times when I was I guess during the summertime when I was visiting my grandfather and my granny and papaw, and I guess leading up to knowing that summer was coming to an end and I was going to have to go back to East Texas, back to that small little town that I grew up in, always feeling like an outsider, with the exception of a few friends I made. Yeah, I mean, there were times when I wanted to be anywhere but there. And it's a big motivation why I, got my shit together and graduated from high school so I could get the hell out of that little town. But there were days in the summer when I would walk around on my grandfather's property, days leading up to when it was time for me to go home. And I would just look up in the sky, as the sun was setting and the stars were starting to come out. And I would just be like, someone please take me away from this. Aliens, come get me. Abduct me. Take me to another world. And of course, as I've mentioned before, some days I feel like I'm not even from this world. But I think a lot of people feel that way. So yeah, if I was given the opportunity to go to a new world, a world that was obviously habitable for humans to live on, and that it was better than our world, and people didn't get sick, I would go. But the reality is, I don't think that's going to happen, Akeem. And you know something? We do have a very nice world. This is a beautiful planet we live on. It's just that we haven't exactly treated it so well. I mean, we're trying to treat it better. I mean, a lot of people are. But there's still pollution. There's still a lot of issues going on. War, famine, disease, and all sorts of bad things that happen in our world. But hopefully things in time will get better. But this is a beautiful planet. We're lucky to have Earth to call our home, along with all the other species that inhabit it as well. So I would say that it would be nicer if the people were better. I mean, I'm not saying all people are bad, but there definitely are a lot of bad apples out there. But there's also a lot of good apples too. So I think the fact is, until we make great strides in science and technology, and we get to that point where we do have warp speed or hyperspace technology or whatever it is going to allow us to FTL, faster than light travel from one star system to the next, and then hopefully colonize other worlds, unless we end up destroying ourselves first and the planet with it. I think our objective should be to make this a better world because it's a great planet. And I think that that's where we should focus. We should, make this place, as Belinda Carlisle once said, heaven on earth. So this is a good world. And I think that science is going a long ways towards curing a lot of diseases. I mean, still has a long ways to go. Cancer is still real pain. It kills a lot of people, including my dad from last year. So, yeah. I would go because I've always had this curiosity about exploring and maybe even seeing a different world than ours, and maybe meeting some alien life, maybe some attractive alien life too. Oh yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next question before this gets a little too weird, right? Next we go to Kevin off of YouTube. All right. Do you have any advice for me to help my channel be discovered by nice people? Because it seems most of the time my channel is discovered by stupid trolls who leave the nastiest comments you'll ever see on your channel. It seems to be full of nice comments. How can I do that? Thank you for your time, and happy Halloween. I hope that you had a happy Halloween as well, Kevin, and everyone else too. I hope you didn't eat too much candy, guys. Don't OD on the candy. Okay, so this is going to be a very important answer I'm going to give you, Kevin. I'm going to give everyone else that happens to also be a content creator, big or small. You have to take a hard look in the mirror at yourself and your channel and the content you put on your channel, because that content is going to attract different types of people. Now, yes, do trolls find their way to my videos? Yes. Do they leave inappropriate, hateful comments that I quickly delete? Yes, they do. But the majority of the comments that are left on my videos are good comments, even if sometimes I disagree with people. You know what? We all have our opinions. As long as you're respectful and civil, I don't have a problem with it. The moment you start being a troll or you start being hateful, yep, your comment is out of here, pal. So you have to take a look at the videos you're making on your channel, guys. And you have to ask yourself, is these videos, these topics that I'm bringing up, or the way I'm doing it, the delivery, is that what's causing the bad comments to come to my channel, the quote-unquote trolls? If you want nicer comments, if you want nicer people, you got to make content that appeals to them. That's a big reason why you don't see clickbait on my channel or any of that other nonsense. Because if you go to those channels, you will notice that they get a lot of hate on their comment section. And the other reason why I don't make those kinds of videos is because that's not my thing. I'm not into drama alert. I'm not into clickbaiting. I'm into trying to make a video and post a video a day. And doing one video a day is an accomplishment. Sometimes I put 2 videos out a day, sometimes 3 if there's news coming out. But you just have to think about, what is it that I'm doing as a content creator that's attracting good and bad comments? So a lot of times, action equals reaction. And so for any of you that might be having this issue as well, I would say go to your channel, watch your videos, and just take a step back, and say, is it me that's causing them to come to me? Am I just throwing chum out in the water and they're like sharks coming to it? So if you want nicer comments, if you want nicer subscribers, put out good quality content and try not to be a clickbaiter, try not to be a troller yourself, try not to post stuff that attracts those kind of comments. And just bear in mind that no matter how good of a channel you have, no matter how good the quality of the content is you put on your channel, no matter how honest you try to be, and no matter how hard you try to fact check everything, even if you do get things wrong occasionally, it does happen to all of us, you're always going to get people that hate you for whatever rhyme or reason, whether it's the way you look or the sound of your voice, or it's just the delivery, or it's just I don't know, whatever rhyme or reason, they're not going to like you. That's just the reality of YouTube. And what I would advise, once again, is just the comments you don't like, get rid of them, delete them, because most of the time it's a one and done thing anyways. They're just leaving a hateful comment and they move on to the next video. And finally, we go to Sudan off of YouTube. I don't know if it's just in my head, but you're looking good, GB. Looks like those diets and exercise have been paying off. I added the good part because I'm assuming you were implying that I was looking good. And it's okay, Sudan, to tell another guy that he looks good. I'm not going to take it the wrong way. Sometimes I do, but anyways, I know what you're trying to say. And everyone else that has been giving me compliments, because I've noticed it on Twitter and various other videos, I really do appreciate that. It means a lot to me. It shows that I'm actually making progress in losing weight. I still have a ways to go, but I have come a long ways over the past year. I mean, I started working out shortly after my dad passed away, but the problem was I was still drinking a lot. And I didn't exactly have the best diet. Now, I don't have a 100% perfect diet. I do eat a lot more salads now. I do try to eat healthier. Some days I cheat. It's okay too every now and then. It's fine when it comes to dieting. Some days it's already have some candy or Reese's Pieces or whatnot, because I mean it was Halloween a few days ago, so why not? But I have, for the most part, tried to stay the course, and it's been 7 months since I stopped drinking, and I think that's been a big factor as well. So Sudan and everybody else that has been paying me compliments, believe me, I really do appreciate the positive feedback. It does mean a lot to me. All right, so on to your question, because yes, Sudan actually did have a question. Q&A 29, if you could collaborate with any YouTube channel you haven't already collaborated with, who would it be and what type of videos would you want to make with them? That is a very tough question, because I don't really know what I would do besides the collabing I already do with, for example, Azerlin and Sky, who have their own channels, and they stream videos. They stream a lot of Dead by Daylight, and occasionally they still do Friday the 13th. And obviously on my channel, most of my subscribers don't care for survival horror games, even though I still enjoy playing them, obviously. So I have to be careful about, collabing with channels, and it has to be something that my audience and their audience are into. And so for the time being, I'm very hesitant to collab with anyone else. I mean, I still enjoy, occasionally playing with Azerlin in Dead by Daylight when she's streaming. When the opportunity is there, whenever I happen to be playing Dead by Daylight, or I'm able to play and she's playing, I'll play with her and Tronic and Sky and Gooners and the others. But when it comes to collaborating, the issue is it's probably a pipe dream to say that I'll ever collaborate with Omwrecker or Delirious, for example, because they're way bigger than me, and they probably don't even know that I exist, because I'm just one of many small fish in the sea of YouTube. Even though I am fans of their work and their channels, I guess the thing that you hope for is that you find your own group like they did, because at one time Omwrecker, Delirious, Vanoss, and the others were way smaller. And they found each other, and all their channels grew together. And that's kind of my hope with the other channels that I currently do stuff with, like Azerlin and Sky, is that eventually, there'll be video games that we play together that my subscribers are into. So it'll be a win-win. Hopefully one day that day will come. But that's the way I look at, Azerlin and Sky and Tronic, is that they're fellow content creators out there that I enjoy playing with and enjoy collabing with in their streams. And if the time ever comes that there's a video game that is something that's right up my alley or my subscribers' alley that they're interested in as well, and that we all happen to start playing that video game, say, for example, I don't know, Red Dead Redemption 2 or Red Dead Online. I don't know if they'll ever get into that game. Probably not. I don't know. But let's just hypothetically say that they also want to play Red Dead Online, and we play together, and all of our subscribers are happy about that, then I consider that a win-win. But, it's always something I'm looking to find other content creators to do stuff with. And the problem is, so many people ask me that haven't even made one video on their channel. They haven't even started a YouTube. They'll say, hey, you want to collab with me? And I go to their little channel, and I'm no offense against them for having a little channel. I get that, because you all start off with zero, just like I did. The point is, it would be like me asking Omwrecker or Delirious to collab with me. Why would they? The answer is they wouldn't. They already have their niche. They already have their peeps that they play with. It's not going to happen. And it's even more insulting if it's somebody that hasn't put any videos up or doesn't have any content at all. Why would you expect me to collab with you when I don't even know your work or what you're capable of? So I would say, before you start asking people to collab with you, focus on yourself. Focus on growing your own channel, making your own content, growing your own subscriber base. And then I would also advise being realistic and finding content creators that play the same games you play, that are around the same size as you. And then, try and find those that have chemistry, those that you enjoy playing with. And maybe by collabing with them, you'll be able to grow your channels, and you'll be able to go from a few dozen subscribers to a few hundred subscribers to thousands of subscribers, perhaps even more. That's what I would advise doing. And, it's always something that's interesting, because it would be cool to collab with Bruffy on stuff. You know, it'd be cool to collab with other YouTubers as well. But I'm very realistic when it comes to this particular subject. From having my own gaming channel for the past several years, is the reality is there are just content creators out there that, you know, are comfortable with their own peoples, and they've created this bubble, and they know these people, they have history of those people, they have chemistry, and it's very difficult for them to bring somebody else in unless they invite you in. Now, if hypothetically, you know, a much larger YouTube channel ever said, hey, I like what you're doing, GeauxBurns, and I think you would be a good fit for us, you should come play with us, we play the same games, absolutely. You know, if it's somebody around my size or a little bit bigger, that's fine too. But at the same time, it's just difficult to, you know, go and try and, you know, force yourself into someone else's home. You should be invited in first. And like I said, I mean, anytime I do collab with anyone like Aslan or Sky, or whenever I'm on Carrick's podcast, ACG, along with Reg, Silver, a few others as well, you know, I do my part to try and plug their channels. I try to share the love with Azerlin and with Sky and with Carrick at ACG. Whether or not they're bigger or smaller than me is irrelevant, because I do things with them, whether it's a podcast or I'm in their videos or they happen to be in my videos or whatever. You know, I do show the love, either in the featured channel section of my channel or by, you know, linking their channels in the description section of my videos that they're included in. I do think that it's important to promote others that you happen to game with. So anyways, I don't know if there'll ever be any channels that come along that I'll collab with. I would very much like that to happen. And if there's any channels out there, you know, that aren't just starting, that have 0 views, 0 subscribers, 0 videos, and you're like, hey, GeauxBurns, you know, we're about the same size. I'm a little bit smaller than you, or I'm a little bit bigger than you, or I'm way bigger than you, and I'd very much like to collab with you on something, you know, hit me up, you know. Hit me on the DMs on Twitter and Facebook, or you can just email me, GeauxBurns@gmail.com. Anyways, thank you, everybody, for submitting your questions for Q&A 29.0. The Alexes, Brian, Carlene, Elaine, Hakeem, Kevin, Sudan, you guys are awesome as always. And for anyone that missed out on submitting a question for Q&A 29.0, fear not, because we will most likely have a future Q&A episode somewhere down the road, be it in December or sometime coming up in 2018, if I'm still, you know, making content on the channel, or if Trump hasn't started World War III before then.